Hi guys, this is Miss Allie Fortune. I've been playing in the Reddit non-meta tournament, which, if you're unaware, is a tournament the YuGiOh subreddit holds every year where they ban out important meta pieces and hold a tournament of what is left behind if you just ban out most of the good stuff. So I've been playing my favorite not good stuff deck, Traptrix. We just got through round two, so I figured I would share this game. I went up against the deck of Magical Musket, which I love. Like, it's a cool deck. I don't know what it does, but it we'll just play through and kind of just go through the process of being a Traptrix player in the year of our Lord 2021. Alright, so I had the first turn, which is where I do want to be. My hand is full of monsters, which is not what I want. Like, you definitely want one monster and then everything else shouldn't be. Like, unless you want one of these, which my opponent grabbed. I didn't get them this time, but, that's sometimes how this plays out. Um, so I summon Mermello. It's one of the best normal summons in this deck. Um, Obviously, it's just the +1. It gets you a trap, which my hand desperately needed. So I can link off into Sarah, which is obviously what you want to do in this deck. She's the only thing that really makes this playable. I guess Rafflesia, but even with Rafflesia, this deck wasn't doing anything. So I got a Floodgate Trapple, and then Traptrix, which is a remarkable card in this deck just because you play so many normal traps. Not all of them are trap holes, because trap holes are so reactive to a summon, and sometimes you need to be able to deal with things that are not a summon, or things that are going to be a blowout. Torrential Tribute. It's a really good card in this deck since Sarah doesn't die to it. So, I tragically can't extend any further than this, so we're going into his turn hoping for the best. And at this point, I didn't know that it was Magispector yet, or Magical Musket yet. So he leads with a Pot of Prosperity, which, that's it's a really good card. I wish I had it. So he looks through, he sees the third Parallel Exceed, which is great. So he adds Last Stand. Yes, against my deck, that's an amazing draw. In fact, had he not had that, this turn would go even worse for him. But he does summon Kid Brave. Yeah, I don't think Kid Brave's one of the better ones. I mean, it's a draw too, but you have to discard one. I don't know. It's not a deck I'm as familiar with. If I'm wrong and that's actually the best card in the deck, please tell me. So I try to Floodgate him, and naturally, that's a perfect thing for him to use Last Stand on. This was the right choice on his part. So he Last Stands me, but a normal trap card still went off. So, oh wait, sorry, no, it didn't go off. Right, it was negated, so I don't get the Sarah effect yet. So he goes into attack, but thankfully I can still trigger Sarah because I have Traptrix. So I go for that, set the Torrential, and I try to trigger Sarah, and once again, his hand had not much, but it did have the 2 answers he needed. So Cross Domination, he stops me from setting another trap, which really blows, but I still have Torrential. I'm still feeling good. And he goes ahead and he does the thing that Magical Musket wants to do. He goes into Max, which I guess he could have just wanted to, bait out my Torrential, because this was gonna do that. I want to believe that that's why he didn't summon Parallel Exceed, because, this is an obvious Parallel Exceed moment, if not for Torrential, but he still goes into Max. So yeah, I think he was just trying to bait out my Torrential. He has Dock, he has 2 of his 3 parallel exceeds. I think he's just looking to get to next turn so he can do the big pop-off play. So he gets his 1 magical musket, and I naturally torrential. This is a great place for me to do it. Normalizes the board state, brings us back to the same level of card advantage, but obviously I have plenty to work with in my hand. Compulse, amazing draw in this moment. And I go for a Dianea. I have something to resurrect in the grave, so I bring out Mermello. And this was a misplay. In my head, I thought, I can go into Alamaris, I can resurrect something from the grave, and that can become my Sarah. You have to have a Traptrix in the grave that can be summoned in defense mode. No, sorry, that is level 4, right? So I have no targets. This is just a shiny beat stick. Sometimes you make the wrong play, but that's fine. I just power through, and we're just going to attack into his face, and it's still relatively fine because he doesn't have a whole lot in his. He has 3 cards left. This is a very normal summon reliant deck, from what I can tell. Like, you need your normal summon to stick, and then you need to be able to do something with your normal summon. So, I'm convinced that I should be fine with my Compulse. So, I get to his turn, and right, so he does have the droplets, which also blows. But I Compulse, and droplets isn't doing anything against that. And now that he doesn't have that, he doesn't have anything, really. So I draw Infinite. Great card just to have. Like, I think in this, yeah, I would say that even in this matchup, it's still really good. Obviously, I'm not using it on turn 1, but it's in Traptrix, it's just another normal trap that can trigger Sarah. You live and die by triggering that bitch. So I summon Mermello. I still have more trap holes to dig for. I was going to do that. He pulls his droplets now, and I feel like that's premature. I guess, like, I suppose if I get a hole, not the best choice of words, but if a trap hole comes to my field, he is functionally dead. So I suppose that this is a fair enough line of play, but it doesn't stop me from going into Sarah, which is still the real problem he has. And now I can finally go into Alamaris because I've now sent Mermello to the grave, so she can now resurrect. It doesn't have to be Mermello. You don't target your resurrect, so I'm able to bring back Dianea, which is great because her Traptrix actual special summon effect lets me get another hole from the grave. I need to use it before my next turn, but in this situation, I'm not thinking he has another turn. I just have too many resources. Sarah brings out a Traptrix Trapple Nightmare. This is mostly for if he does get to max. I just shut that shit down. And then Dianea brings back the Floodgate. At this point, I'm in a fantastic position. This is what I love about Traptrix. Like, when you get to do anything, it just generates so much advantage. Like, we were both at 3 fairly recently, and now he's at 2 cards, and I am at a whopping 7. This is the fun part of being a Traptrix player. When you have your traps go off, and your traps get you more monsters, get you more traps. It's poetry. So I obviously go in for my attacks. Alamera is now incredibly useless. She's not even unaffected by traps anymore, but she is still a slaying that 2200 attack. She's one of the stronger beatsticks in this particular archetype, so you take what you can get. She got me, Dionea, that's what matters. So, obviously, Flackle is in a rough spot now. Like, he's really begging for anything. I don't think Starfire does it. So, he's going to try and summon Starfire, and I have the Floodgates. At this point, there's nothing left in his hand to deal with that. And at this point, now Sarah's just bringing out another Ramello. Ramello tries to trigger its effect, and even though she doesn't have anything to pop, it still goes off, so Sarah lets me get another trap, and at this point, Gravediggers is just extra. I actually didn't even realize that this was in Flackle's hand, because this is perfect. So this would just kill them. So at this point, they're fucked. So they obviously take the L. So we're gonna move to game 2, and oh, yeah, right. I should pause it. So let's swap to where I feel comfortable. They have summoned a Dock, and then 2 whole trap stuns, which, yeah, that is a good side in. That is a good side in against me. Assuming I did the thing that I would normally do in any given situation. But that's where he's wrong. So it's just a pop. They have Calamity, which is doing nothing in the hand. And they have Doc here just looking to do his best. So with that, we're going to go straight to my turn. And I get the one top deck I need, which sounds dramatic, but literally I needed any Traptrix. I just needed a girl to go into the other girl. That was it. To be fair, I could have done what I'm about to do without this. I think I would have had less things to bait negates out with, but I could go into Ash Blossom at this point, just summon her out, and I do have an Almirage in my deck, so I'm fairly certain I left the Almirage in my deck. If not, I'm an idiot, but you can link that off, special summon the Almirage, because all you need at this point is for Parallel Exceed to go off, because we'll just progress here. Dionea, into Sarah, Exceed. At this point, you have 2 level 4s. And at this point, I am now questioning myself and how greedy I want to be. Because if I don't want to be greedy, I could go safe and I could try and go for Alamera. Or I could even try and go for Rafflesia and play the really long game, because Rafflesia offers so much control. But had I kept going, had that been the plan, these trap stuns were gonna fuck me. I had no clue anyone would be bringing trap stun to my life. But I sided, and I wasn't sure if I would go second. In my head, I knew that Magical Musketeer does nothing going first, but I also knew my deck functionally does nothing going second, for the most part. So I figured it would be enough for them to think, okay, I will make them go second, and they will have to live with the consequences of not being able to OTK me, which is why I sided in double or nothing. And so a mistake was made here, and I feel bad. They immediately shotgun this Desperado. They're targeting a face-up on the field, which is obviously going to be double or nothing, because they can't actually target Sarah. Or rather they can, but it would be stupid, because she's unaffected. So they're trying to attack double. In hindsight, I don't know why they didn't activate this in the Dock lane. I think at this point they might just be a little tilted. Or I'm missing something because I am not the queen of Magical Musketeer. But they've tried to pop my double, whose effect is a quick effect. So I go ahead and I just respond with the effect. I get the double or nothing. I get to go into Utopia, and now the target is not around. Desperado fizzles, and at this point, I'm only worried about what these two things can be, which is dumb because in hindsight, they would just they would just use the Magical Musketeer stuff in the hand. There's no reason to set it. But I get Marmella. I pop one of these anyway. I see it's trap stun, but at this point, Flackle calls it a GG, gives the win to me. It's a clean 2-0. It's There were a couple misplays I think on their part, and I definitely had at least one misplay on my part. At the end of the day, this still felt like good games. There was a fair amount of like response, counter response, a lot of control decks trying to control each other, which I am a control player. I love control. So yeah, this was my round two. I lost the first round to UAs because I don't know what Sports Center Turbo does. I still don't know what that deck does, but also I do know it wasn't a great matchup for me. I also lost the die roll or the rock paper scissors, so there was not a lot I was gonna do. As it stands, I'm hoping going into round three to keep this kind of momentum going. I'm curious to see what other decks I'm going to run into. That's the fun part of a non meta tournament. There's really a lot of things that are like fringe viable, and even the top decks are nothing like the real meta because that ban list really fucked those decks up. So I'm hoping to take my plant and insect girls and make a decent showing. I have a weird habit of losing the first two rounds of any given tournament and then starting to win. So going 1-1 is still a victory for me. Uh, that said, it will be less of a victory if I then just go 0-3 for the next three rounds, but we will see. In the meantime, thanks for watching and happy dueling.